It's not just feeling that my mind tells me that, oh, I'm being followed. No, really, I am. They know how to track you. They're everywhere. They could be in the street, they could be in a shop, they could be your friend without you knowing. I mean, that's why it's very hard for the interpreters to trust someone.
Wadat worked as an interpreter for the U.S. military for 3 years. Now he says the Taliban is trying to kill him.
Taliban first warning letter to me.
Can you translate that?
Yeah. We know you have been working with the U.S. Special Forces, and you must stop working and helping these infidels. If you reject and do not obey our directions and rules, your death will be eligible to us according to Islamic Sharia, and we will never let you live in peace in any part of Afghanistan. Can I have a smoke?
Yeah, it's your room.
Taliban thought that the interpreters are ears and eyes for the military. They just know you did this, you'll have to be killed. They don't kill you the easy way if you worked as interpreter. They will try every maniac punishment first to hurt you. Normally I do sleep during the day since I'm jobless, and then I would stay awake during the night. If I hear something strange, I'll just go up and down and check what's going on, having my gun on. I'm under pressure, honestly.
Wadat's escape depends on a special visa for Afghans who worked for the U.S. government. His application by law should take 9 months, but Wadat's been waiting for 2.5 years with no choice but to hide. While most American troops have now left Afghanistan, fault lines went there to meet their interpreters, to find out why so many of them are being left behind. We were invited to the family home of Sakidad Afghan. He's one of thousands of interpreters who have tried to escape death threats by applying for a special visa to live in the U.S. What did you think when Afghan told you he wanted to start working with the military?
می افغان که میگفت من میرم ترجمان میشم بسیار علاقه داشت دم انگلیسی دم خدمت و هرچی که چی بود دم خدمت بسیار علاقه داشت ما خوش بودیم که بچه می یک چیزی شود دیگه.
After several years of working with Americans, Sakidad and his friend Abdullah began receiving threats. They decided to apply for visas.
Sakidad and I, we were working from 2009 up to 2012 together. We were very close friends. We were like brothers. He never called me Abdullah. He was calling me Brother Abdullah all the time.
While they waited, Congress passed a law requiring the State Department to process special visa applications within 9 months.
This is the statement of threat. This is his medical examination report for his visa interview before visa interview.
But for Sakidad, the 14-step process would take far longer.
This is his chief of mission approval.
He has to be approved based on these 4 things: that he served the U.S. government faithfully and that he is actually under a threat. He gets approved for all of it in 2012. So he met all the requirements
For a visa.
for a visa.
He was waiting to just a visa on his passport. It was approved. Everything was approved for him.
After 2 years, Sakidad had one more hurdle to cross: a background check known as administrative processing. When the Americans pulled out of the base where he worked, Sakidad had to find a new job. Living off base put him at greater risk, which he described in a letter to the U.S. government.
His last paragraph here is, finally, to make a long tragedy short, I really do not feel secure, not only physically, but also mentally, in any part of my homeland and my country. And I'm optimistic that the USA government put a step forward and helps me in this process. Sakidad Afghan. Kind regards.
In March 2015, Sakidad was kidnapped, tortured, and killed by the Taliban.
خیلی یک مرمی از اینجا که خورده بود امروز اینجا برآمده از اینجا
Comes out from there. And he received another bullet in here in the chest. He received 3 bullets.
An Afghan National Army commander recovered his body from the side of the road.
باز دویم دیگه ما گفتم که حساب امیلمن جنگ و زدن ایلاکو گفت تا ما جان خود دمی افغانستان یا برای امی دوستا که مزدیست نتون
والا امیر خو ما خواهش ما ایسه که بدر امی جوانا رو نجات بده حتی فامیلایش در خطر است ولی ما سعی کنه دو تا بدر خود رایی کردم از ترس نمزی حساب فهمیدی خودشان که در خطر است جمع بسته فامیلشان.
This is Taliban letter they sent to them.
Can you translate this for me exactly?
Yeah. This is like a warning for Ali Dad, his another brothers, that they are drivers and they are taking the US military fuels from one station to another station. We killed Sakidad Afghan, so we will kill you, his other 3 brothers also, because he is a truck driver.
Does it name him?
Yeah, named him also.
Your name's in here.
Yeah. Yeah.
Oh, no,
Yeah. Ali Dad, his name is Ali Dad. Yeah, his name is also in this letter.
Are you scared?
مگه خود زندگی تام در خطر است دیگه تشویش می‌داری. Yeah.
Months before Sakidad's death, Abdullah's visa was denied, but he continues to work as a translator on a U.S. military base. The job offers him a measure of protection, but it's also the reason for the threats he faces.
Yeah, they are doing it with me too because we were working in the same place together. I'm sure they have my picture too and they are chasing me too. There are lots of translators that they are waiting for their visas and they are losing their lives.
State Department officials declined to comment on Sakidad's case and said they don't keep track of how many interpreters have been killed while waiting for their visa. Sakidad's father buried his son's body here in Kabul over a year ago. His death was covered in the U.S. media, but the slow wheels of bureaucracy haven't caught up to that fact. Officially, his visa is still being processed.
This is Afghan. This one. What the Afghanistan flag.
او یک محبت خاص داشت. خب این وقت که بود ما گفتم گو بچه همه چی فامیلی ما که محمدی است تو افغان مانده ما افغان هستم در افغانستان خدمت میکنم.
He never left Afghanistan, did he?
میگه دیگه افغانستان هم رها نکرده. در افغانستان ماند دیگه.
آه در افغانستان.
If Sakidad had made it to the States, he would have arrived here in Philadelphia, where his friend Laura McKendrick had prepared a room for his arrival. The Air Force captain became his visa sponsor after returning from Afghanistan.
We did a lot of long runs together. There he is. That's him.
Number 2, yeah.
He's right at the front. Here's us after our race.
This was after the marathon?
After the marathon, yeah. I just still can't believe it. I signed everything. I put the thing for the lease that he was going to be living with me. I had a job lined up for him, everything. I had clothes, you name it. So far, no one has contacted me.
They stayed in touch while he waited for his visa. Meanwhile, Sakidad sent emails like this one to the U.S. government.
I am concerned for my safety if I am left behind when the U.S. military withdraws. I have risked my life to support the U.S. military in achieving its mission. I ask that I receive strong consideration for an approved visa.
I told him, you gotta hang in there. It's just a little bit longer, but you can only say that to somebody so much. I feel horrible about what happened, and I know that I can't change what happened, but again, it's like I was helping him come here, and I completely feel like I failed. I was hearing that from October. He's gonna be here within 2 weeks to a month. And then it's March and he's gone.
Sakidad would have had some support, but for hundreds of interpreters, a new struggle begins when they arrive in the U.S. And these guys are in Afghanistan, and they're thinking, I need to get to the States for safety. But what are they imagining that their lives are going to be like in the States?
They arrive with an expectation of, I'm going to have somewhere to sleep when I get here, a means of getting food until I figure out how to acquire it myself, and some general instruction on how in the heck I incorporate myself into this society around me, and if not thrive, at least survive.
Matt Zeller is a U.S. Army veteran based in Northern Virginia. After returning from Afghanistan, Zeller founded an organization called No One Left Behind to help Afghan and Iraqi interpreters settle in the States. He says many of them are abandoned at the airport.
There's nobody there to pick them up. There's no housing. There's no food. There's no job program. You get to America, and after the customs guy stamps your immigration papers and lets you through, that you're on your own. Good luck. You get 8 months of food stamps and Medicare if you know that you're even entitled to apply for it, which again, no one's there at the airport to tell you that. That's it.
Zeller's organization has tried to fill the gaps left by underfunded refugee agencies, helping hundreds of interpreters, including Ahmed. He arrived in Maryland after 6 years as a combat interpreter, a job that left him severely injured.
It was an ambush.
What actually hit your hand, though? What happened to it?
The AK-47 bullet.
Oh, where did it go through?
It hit right here, like this side, where the two bones are. So it pretty much shattered all the bones and then came out from this way.
Former translators are not just refugees. One, they're refugees of our own creation, right? But two, they're veterans. They're coming with all of the needs of a veteran would. But they don't have any access to the VA. You know, that's the other thing I can't stand. He's not a veteran. Legally speaking, he's just an immigrant, a refugee from Afghanistan who had an interesting life experience, but of the 56,000 organizations that exist in the United States of America to help folks like me come home and heal from war and reintegrate, not a single one will recognize his service.
Before it was really worse. It's now like the reformed one. They made it look good.
Because of his injury, Ahmed had a hard time keeping a job that required physical labor. He was packaging frozen foods at the time and soon fell behind on his rent.
This is the sheriff notice of eviction that they sent me when I was like did all the surgeries and couldn't afford to pay my bills. This is one, and this is the other one. They sent me to the court, and they said you have to pay, like this is something 1,900 on this, and they said you have to pay 1,500 of this in 1 week. That time my hand was just hanging like this in court.
Did anyone care that the reason you couldn't pay is because you had been shot serving with the U.S. military in Afghanistan and you were having an operation on your arm?
They said, no, we don't care what you did. You live in an apartment, you pay your rent. If you don't pay, the sheriff will get you out of the apartment.
Ahmed hopes his new job as a part-time security guard will cover monthly expenses. He says if he could save enough to return to Afghanistan, he would.
Make you frustrated, disappointed, like makes you that you're worth nothing. So, like we were living in Kabul in a war zone, we were better than this. Now here you fight all month just for your rent. Once you pay your rent, you have nothing. And then it all starts again next month.
Back in Afghanistan, we found several interpreters who did return, despite the threats. Most of them declined to talk to us on camera out of fear for their safety. But Sadat agreed to tell us why he flew back from California to live in Helmand province, a Taliban stronghold. It was too dangerous to go there, so we met him in Kabul.
Does Taliban know that you were an interpreter?
Yeah, most of them, they know, yeah. I applied for the visa, my life to be safe.
Look at the clouds on the Golden Gate Bridge. How does it make you feel, looking back at those photos?
I miss it a lot. The beautiful place, the most beautiful place, the safest place, but unfortunately I can't live there.
Sadat hoped to make enough money to send to his mother back home. But after 3 months in Sacramento, he struggled to find work and realized he would barely have enough for his own rent.
I can support my family. I can't run my life here. One day I will be homeless. I will be sleeping on the chairs in the parks. I will be sleeping on beside the roads.
People would find it surprising that, like, you're under such fear and such threat that you apply for a special visa to the U.S. You get the visa, which is not an easy process. You fly all the way to the U.S. and then decide, no, and come back. Why?
If you die in Afghanistan, that's one time you will die, one day. If you go to US, you will be dying every day. If you are receiving phone calls from your family, hey, we need money, we have to pay the rents, we have to do this, but you cannot pay your family. It means that you are dying every day. That's better if you die in Afghanistan. The Helmand province is the most dangerous place in Afghanistan, but I live there. I accepted the risk.
That risk is still too great for many interpreters who dream of making it to the States, like Wadat, who just began his 3rd year in hiding.
So this is how I first started, they gave me a helmet, boots, and AK-47 without any training. It was around 17 something. It's horrible, honestly. It's like someone is dying and you tell them, I don't know, but I may help you. But I don't trust you enough now to help you. I'll have to trust you first and then I can help you.
A group of Afghan interpreters joined a lawsuit against the State Department and Department of Homeland Security in 2015, seeking an end to the delay in their visa applications. The case is still ongoing.
We've just flown in from Afghanistan. We've been interviewing the interpreters that work for the U.S. military. They are hiding while the Taliban is actively hunting and killing them. The Congress has directed for State Department to consider their S visas within a 9-month period, but the processing, the administrative processing of these visas is taking far, far longer than 9 months for everyone that we've interviewed.
Yeah.
In fact, we were with someone named Sakidat Afghan. We were with his family because he was murdered by the Taliban while waiting for his visa to be administratively processed. When someone like that is killed, does the U.S. take some sort of responsibility when they're beyond that 9-month period for leaving these guys where the threat is?
We're grateful for the assistance and service that these interpreters have given. We're mindful of the concerns that some of them have about getting these visas, and we're mindful of our obligations to them in kind.
The only difference between me and Sakidat, or people like me and Sakidat, is our chances that we still survived by chances. I mean, we can take precautions, we can take security measures, but for how long?
What do you say to the families for the guys who are getting murdered now while waiting over 3 years?
Look, obviously, I can't speak to each case, and I, again, we're mindful of the danger they have taken on and the danger that they face now.
They feel like they've been left behind, though.
I understand that, and I can assure you that that's not the case.
Another one was killed yesterday in Kandahar. No one seems to be considering this an imminent enough threat to get the translators out of the country.
We obviously have a commitment, and we know we do. But here at the State Department, our commitment is to try to make sure that we're working with members of Congress to make sure that this processing of these visas is done as fairly and as evenly as possible.
If you could say something to the U.S. government, to someone who could actually make a difference in this process, what would you say to them?
I would say you don't know what people are going through, and you just don't know even the law that you made.
Four weeks after our return from Afghanistan, we got a call from Wadat. His visa still hadn't come through. He told us he was looking for a new place to hide.
Last night there was shooting. I was awake and then I heard shooting and I just ran out straight to the roof. My neighbor, he said there was someone wearing black clothes trying to climb up on the wall. So it made me very worried. I never slept. These 2 days, it's been horrible. It's just like I'm wondering, so what's next?